So, good morning still. Lovely to be here. I'm Jan from janhaldane.com, and I am the trusted trainer of over 17,000 practitioners of holistic modalities, of which hypnotherapy is one. So basically all of you and a lot of other things like counselors, coaches, and other alternative therapies, complementary therapies. So I have a big, school, I suppose you could call it, on Udemy or Udemy, as Trish calls it. Yeah, whatever, tomato, it's all good. And of course, one of those 17,000 plus students doesn't like my Kiwi accent, so you know what, too bad. Yeah, maybe it's the same one, they don't like Down Under. Could be. But generally, they are great, my students. So, okay, so what's my background? So I do have a background in education, but also 34 years ago, I trained as a counsellor. About 15 years ago, I trained as a coach here in New Zealand and with Tony Robbins. And I don't know how many years ago, when Justine took over Hypnosis New Zealand, I trained as a hypnotherapist. I've also got a lot of other training under my belt, including a lot of spiritual stuff. So people say to me, well, what do you do these days? What technique do you use? Because I still see a few clients, mainly word of mouth clients. I say, well, it's a mashup. It's a mashup of all the things over the years that I've seen work for people. And when a client comes to me, it's like, well, okay, what's going to work for this client? And the brain goes tick, 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 tick. What's the right thing? And it can be all sorts of things. My speciality is toxic relationship recovery. And I've spoken about that around the world. So I see a lot of people trying to get over some pretty horrific relationships, actually. And so that's where I find it good to employ a whole range of things. And I'm going to talk about those today to hopefully give you some ideas and some links to different things that I have found helpful. Now, I've got a 5-page handout, which Justine has uploaded to the conference platform or app, I think you call it. Yeah. So you should have all the details of how to access that once it's up and running, which will be when the replays are. Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. So you may or may not want to take notes, that's fine. Okay, so let us run this along. And this is a very, very important question. And I learnt this last year, how important this question was. So last September, I moved from one small town in New Zealand, North Island, to another small town. And so I thought, well, I'll go along to the local networking group because I'm really into networking because I've had such success with that, in the past. And so I go along to this networking group, and one of the ladies there says to me, just off the cuff, so what do you do? And the first thing that came to my mind, instead of saying, well, I'm a counsellor and I'm a coach and I'm a hypnotherapist, I went, hypnotherapy. And she goes, can you make me cluck like a chicken? You can make people cluck like a chicken. And I went, how does a chicken cluck? And she goes, and I just went, yeah, there you go. And she was like, oh, you're good. You're really, really good. So you can have that one now, Stefan, it's all yours. So anyway, she became a great source of referrals because I took it all as humorous, I didn't get worried about it. And now we have all sorts of jokes about clucking chickens and all that sort of thing. But of course, then I said, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. Ah, okay. So then she felt more confident. So feel free to use that. How does a chicken cluck, and get them to do it? And I'll tell you what, that's not the first time I've done it either. And it works like a treat. And it really just starts that rapport with someone who might be, you know, that about hypnotherapy. Yeah, so if you don't get anything else from today's session, hey. Okay, so let us have a look at some of the different things. Now, Daryl spoke yesterday about mindfulness and how well it works with hypnotherapy. Absolutely. So mindfulness. How many people are actually in the here and now? So here we have Mr. Stunned Mullet. He's a stunned mullet, you can tell. Right, so when I went to coach school, I learned that you needed to know where your client was at, because that's where you had to start working with them. Where is your client at? But I've since learned, probably from working so much with relationships, when is your client at is a very, very important question. Are they actually here in 2025? Or where are they? Could be anywhere. And of course, I do a lot of inner child work, so that's something that really is good to have. I do teach that, so you can come and see me if you don't know too much about it. But when is your client at? So I have people that are stuck in the past. They're stuck in past relationships and they can't seem to move forward, because even though that relationship is over, they are still carrying a lot of memories from that in their subconscious. And I just about did it myself the other day. And I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? So I was sitting in the cafe in Katikati where I live with a friend of mine, and she said, which way are you going to Rotorua? Because I was driving. And I said, because there's two ways. And one's an absolute arse of a road, and one's a lovely big highway where you can do 110. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, I think I'll do that. And I said, oh, okay, stop it. None of that thinking. So I said, well, actually, I'd like to go right through Tauranga and stop at Bayfair and go that way with the nice 110k road. Oh, but maybe I should go through Pies Pa and that horrible gorge. It's 10 minutes shorter. And she says, why would you want to do that? It's only 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, and I thought, yeah, it's because I used to have a partner who was a tour bus driver, and everything, and fair enough, when he was doing his tour buses, everything had to be exactly, you know, you couldn't be 5 minutes over. Then like 10, he threw his toys. And then, you know, the shit would hit the fan and off we'd go. So I was still thinking subconsciously, oh my God, if I don't do Pies Pa, it'll take me 10 minutes more and the shit will hit the fan. And then I thought, what the? No. But it just shows you how things can linger. We broke up 8 years ago. 8 years. And I'm still thinking, it's 10 minutes shorter. So, you know, you can be stuck in the past without meaning to be stuck in the past. You can have things influencing you that you thought, well, oh, I've got over that. Oh my goodness, I've done so much work. You know, I've done so much work. I must be over all that ridiculous carry on. But no, that was lingering in my brain. So that was very interesting. And of course, I went the long way, put my foot down, did 110, and I was like, yes, crank up the radio. This is good. and I didn't feel bad about it at all. Okay, so MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, 1979. So mindfulness has been around for a while. I think people got a little bit over it because it was kind of a buzzword at one stage. But actually, it's really good. It is really good in bringing people back into the here and now, because we don't want to be worrying about 10 minutes, and we don't want to be worrying about our future or our clients either. We want to actually be in the here and now. So I have a course of MBSR, which is a certification course. The link is there in the notes. It is, science-based. What I've tried to do today is have things that are science-based. So I'm not going into the airy-fairy, which I know very well, I'm quite capable of doing, but I'm not. So when we look at mindfulness, it helps with a lot of things: health-related disorders, anxiety, depression, skin diseases, pain, immune disorders, hypertension and diabetes. So lots and lots of things. Over 200 medical centres around the world offer MBSR as an alternative treatment. Now, this is possibly an oldish statistic, so it might be more. Hopefully it's more. I really do hope it's more. And I'm sure most of you do too. So, MBSR, how many of you have clients come to you and they're stressed? Show of hands. Yes. Awesome. Hands down. How many of you are stressed yourself? Yeah, probably most of us, even on a level we're not aware of, there is some element of stress there. Yeah, so this is a really good thing to have. Now, I came across this site, and it's called mindfulnessexercises.com. And it is science-based training. The guy that runs it, Sean Fargo, was a Buddhist monk. So he's been running this for 20 years. He also works with corporates. They have all sorts of programs, including trauma-informed mindfulness. And he has done for you mindfulness programs that you could take into a corporate setting if you wanted to, or just teach groups with mindfulness, whatever you want to do. They have a thing that is 200 mindfulness scripts, and they run specials periodically. These are brilliant. Now, I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not getting any money for this, but I just wanted to let you know, because you can actually record them as well as use them for your clients. So it's a really good thing. And they've got lots of other good stuff on there, lots of other good training. Yes, I am certified in mindfulness, not by them, but I would highly recommend anything that comes off there. So I really wanted to share that one with you. So the RAIN protocol. Now, I don't usually refer to notes when I'm speaking, so just bear with. But to remember 5 pages of it was probably pushing it uphill a little bit. Okay, so the RAIN protocol is Tara Brach. Anyone heard of Tara Brach? Yes. So she is very well known. She has a book. Well, she's more than one book, but this particular book is called Radical Compassion: Learning to Love Yourself and Your World with the Practice of RAIN. Brilliant book. Absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend it to everybody. Get the book. What is RAIN? Recognise, accept, investigate, nurture. So it is a protocol. And recognise. What is happening inside me? Okay. Or if you're saying it to your client, what is happening inside you? Can you be with this? Can you let this be? So you could put them just into a relaxed state or light trance or whatever you want to do. Investigate, what is the worst part of this? What most wants my attention? So some of this you can see it's familiar. You know, in all the trainings that probably we've done, we've heard things like this before. What is the most difficult, painful thing I am believing? What emotions does this bring up? For example, fear, anger, or grief. Where are the feelings about this strongest in my body? Now, probably a lot of us use this. I use this a lot these days. What are the feelings like? When I assume the facial expression and body posture that best reflects these feelings and emotions, what do I notice? So when you change your state, as Tony Robbins would say, what do you notice? Are these feelings familiar, something I've experienced earlier in my life? If the most vulnerable, hurting part of me could communicate, what would it express in words, feelings, or images? How does this part want me to be with it? What does this part most need from me or from some larger source of love and wisdom? So that is investigate. Now, some of those questions will sound familiar to people that have done a lot of different training, but it's a very useful thing to have. It's simple, but it can elicit a lot of stuff from your client, help them a lot. So I wanted to share that. I'll just go through the nurture bit. It's calling on the most compassionate part of your being. Experiment with ways of befriending your inner life and nurturing yourself, which is really important. Okay. So, along with mindfulness comes compassion. Compassion for self and others. The inner critic, the inner saboteur, the inner troll. We've all got one. It has a purpose. Ostensibly, that purpose is to protect us. But sometimes, you know, it's overstepping the mark, quite frankly. So, and I've noticed that clients come and they start criticizing themselves. I'm sure you've all seen it as well. And I ask them a question, and I'm sure some of you do ask the same question. So, would you speak like that to your best friend? And you know, just about 100% of the time, the answer is no. You know, it's like, no. Well, why is it okay to speak to yourself like that? Um, oh, yeah. Yeah. So compassion is a very important thing, and self-compassion is a very important thing, I think, to work with clients, particularly some. You know, some of them maybe not, but a lot of them, yes. So compassionate mind training, guided exercises and activities to help the client recognize self-criticism and how to diffuse it. Okay, so it is a thing. Compassionate mind training is a thing. And I actually have a course online of compassionate mind coaching. So one of the things I really like, and I won't I won't do this with you now, but if we have time at the end, then I might do it. How many people know what a metta meditation is? Or a loving kindness meditation? Yes, yeah. So basically what it is, it's getting you to give kindness and compassion or loving kindness to yourself and then extend it beyond you to someone that you quite like or feel neutral about, then to someone that you don't particularly like, but probably don't actively hate, and then to the whole of your town or the universe or whatever. So it's spreading out this compassion, but it is starting with compassion for self. Okay, so I will, I've included one in here for you. I've also included a citation about compassionate mind training, just so you can see it as science-backed, a link to my Compassionate Mind Coach certification, and I have given you a loving kindness meditation, which is not written by me. It's actually written by John Kabat-Zinn. But it is a good one. You can change up some of the wording. If you are familiar with this, you can change up some of the wording to make it more relatable. And if we have time, I'll do it with you later. But there's a few other things I want to chat to you about first. Okay, so affirmations. Let's go. Affirmations. Remember Louise Hay years ago? Affirmations. Stick them on your mirror. Stick them on your fridge. Put them all over the show. And I got to the stage where I thought, oh God, affirmations. I'm sick of this. This is a few years ago until I really realized how important they are. So positive and beneficial I statements that can help clients rewire their neural networks. Now, what does that remind you of if you put your hypno hat on? Yeah, something called suggestions. Yes. So it integrates really nicely with hypnosis. So I attract all good things. I am peaceful and whole. There's all sorts of things that you can actually fine-tune around your client. And so what I suggest is that you actually spend some time with your client in session developing these affirmations and then possibly record it. We'll talk a bit about recording later. Again, like Connie was saying this morning, they get used to the sound of your voice. I have a lot of recordings online. I have a widget on my website, which I'll talk about later, because you can have one too. And I just say to my clients, well, we'll have the session. Okay, so just go to my widget on the homepage of my website, choose this meditation, which is really a hypno track, but anyway, choose this meditation and listen to it. Okay, easy peasy. And they do. And so they become very quickly used to your voice. You become the trusted person. And they might listen to it when they go to sleep. And when they're not feeling so good, they can listen to the affirmations. So it's actually very powerful. So I had to sort of get over myself a bit and think, oh, maybe Louise Hay really did have something there with the affirmations. Maybe I was just being a little bit silly. So a quote here from Dr. Nicole LaPera. Now, she's written some really good books. Has anyone read any of her books? Yep, couple of hands going up. Yeah, she's called the Holistic Psychologist. I think that's correct, yeah. Brilliant books. I highly suggest that you read those. So she says affirmations, which are positive mantras about ourselves and our experiences, can help rewire your neural networks, even if you don't believe them at first. So you've got some client in your clinic and, you've been doing the whole inner critic stuff. Oh, I'm whatever. And you say, well, we can do some affirmations. We can say, I am a brilliant photographer. Oh, I'm always cutting people's heads off when I take a photograph. No. Okay, well, that's fine. We all start off doing funny things when we take photographs. But, okay, so let's just do this and just try repeating this over and over to yourself or listening to the recording that I make for them. Oh, I don't really believe it. You don't have to. You don't have to believe it this minute. Okay? Okay. Oh, it'd be good if I didn't cut people's heads off, wouldn't it? Yeah, it probably would actually, but Yeah, so I mean there's lots of things you can do. Again, you've got to tailor it to your client though, for it to really be meaningful. Yeah, so I'll just a few of them that are in here. I alone hold the truth of who I am. Now I really like that. I am growing and I'm going at my own pace. Here's a really, really good one. I am worthy of love. Of course, I am enough is one that we probably all know. I am on my personal healing journey. I am peaceful and whole. So as long as it's positive and beneficial and it's not in the future tense, it needs to be I am, not I will be. I will be a wonderful photographer when I stop cutting people's heads off or whatever it is. No. Okay. So in my free resource library on my website, janhaldane.com, you will find unbranded printable affirmation cards. You can download them. You can use them with your clients. You have to print them, cut them up to make them into cards, but you can do that. It's an easy way out of writing your own. And it gives you some idea, if you're not confident with writing them, the sort of thing that you can have. So there's maybe half a dozen of them on there. There's a lot of stuff in that too that I'll talk about as we go along. Okay, here's a good one. Are we ready? Boundaries. Boundaries. Okay. Let go of people pleasing. That's really easy, isn't it? Not. I've only really stopped doing that in the last few years. And I'm no spring chicken. So the earlier you can actually do that, the better. Let go of people pleasing. So here's a question for you. When was the last time you said yes when you wanted to say no? Show of hands. Who's done that recently? You've said yes, but you wanted to say no. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Do you have clients who have problems with letting go of people pleasing? Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So chronic people pleasers have great difficulty setting boundaries. Okay, so you want to be able to help your clients set a boundary and actually enforce that boundary. What's the look for, Trish Pellin? That's all right. Nicer with that thought. No, it's much nicer than fuck off. Yeah. Well, say what you feel, Okay, right. Okay. Okay. Right. So I've got a little exercise here for you. Well, you know straight away I'll look at you because you've just told me not to. Okay, face the audience. Right. Okay, so when was the last time you said yes when you wanted to say no? So just think of a specific situation, reflect on what happened and how you felt afterwards. So just take a couple of minutes to think about that. You might want to close your eyes, you might not. You might want to take a few deep breaths, you might not. This could be going back a while, that's fine. Okay, good. So now I'm not going to ask you to share any of this. So just letting you know, if your 70-year-old future self, and it still is future for me, so had witnessed the situation and could have taken over, what would they have said or done differently? Okay, I'll repeat that. If your 70-year-old self, future self, had witnessed the situation and could have taken over, what would they have said or done differently? And if you're 70 already, you might know straight off. So just take a minute, just open or closed eyes, just whatever works for you. Some people it's just like that, and some people it's not. It's all good. Cool. Okay, so hopefully you've got some idea of that. Now, of course, these questions are questions that you can use with your clients. That's why they're on the handout. Everything is there for you to help you with your clients. So if I sort of thought about something, I won't think about a particular situation at all, but women of my generation were chronic people pleasers because that's what we were taught it was all about. So I spent a lot of my life being one of those, of course, people pleasers, being nice. Nice girl syndrome, anyone heard of that? Yeah, guilty. Doesn't apply now though. Now that I have got the gold card and 70 is the next big birthday for me, it's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. No, fuck off. But it took so many years to get to that stage of putting up with people's crap, you know.
But isn't it amazing when you can just say no?
Yeah.
That is an absolute entire sentence.
Yes.
It doesn't need justification. It doesn't need, oh yes, we're going to put the kids up. No. And then the more
love it.
Can say that, honestly, and then it's not about being a bitch or not trying to help people or be compassionate. It's about your cup being full. And if I don't want to do it, it's no. And that's all I need to say. It's amazing. It's so good. Oh, do fuck off.
I love the accent.
I've got a necklace and it's from Stolen Girlfriends Club. Do you want to see what it says on it? And it's like my
I'll have to.
love it.
Oh, I love it. Fuck off. That's what it says. No, I'm not. Not telling Carolyn. Marguerite, is that right?
Yes. So one sentence I have learned to use to say no to people, which is probably a little bit softer than yours.
It is quite direct.
It is quite direct.
There's no ambiguity.
I would love to help, but I can't.
Yes. Yes.
To know and see your empowerment grow.
But I would have to, I've got the opposite problem. I've always been a natural person able to say no, and I've battled the feeling of being selfish. It's for me, it's the opposite. And so for me, saying no needs to be said in a nice way. Otherwise, I've got that feeling of being a bitch. And that's why I've learned I would love to help, but I can't, because it is a softer way of just saying no.
And it is, I mean, that's lovely. And there are many other boundaries that sound like that. But the important thing is that when you deal with toxic people, and let's face it, a lot of us do, it might be in the family, it might be partners, it might be the workplace, whatever. And they want you to justify why you can't do something, because that's how they manipulate you to do what they want. Sorry? Is it true that they manipulate you?
Yeah, I mean, or are we making things up in our own head around stuff like that? Do we really know it's true, is what I'm saying?
Possibly not in 100% of cases, but in a high percentage of cases. And of course, I deal with clients and that stuff all the time. And so I do see a lot of it, and some of it you just shake your head. I've also lived it. I've also walked the talk, you know. If you say no, why, and following you around the house, why? You know, why can't you do that? Oh, you're mean, you know. You're selfish. The one person that called me a bitch, well, that was it. Done. Finished. I said, you're the first man in my entire life to call me a bitch, and you're the last. Goodbye. Hey, I was only 64 at the time. I got there finally. But what I want for you and your clients is to get there sooner. Get there sooner. Now, I'm not saying tell everyone to fuck off. There are, you know, a lot of other things you can say that are more polite. But I do love the concept, no is a full sentence. If you say no, you mean no. You don't have to justify that whatever and then have someone come back at you and, you know, and then you go in the circular conversation. Round and round and round until you might get so absolutely fed up with, that's it. And they know that. Yeah. A lot of people know that. Not everybody, not 100%, but the ones that do that, those circular conversations, they understand. Yeah, great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use I'm not accountable to you. Like if someone
Yes.
says, why don't you want to do it? I don't want to. But why? I'm not accountable.
Yes.
I'm not accountable to anybody but me.
But in my experience, though, I find that if you do sort of say, do you want to, you know, I was a huge people pleaser back in the day, and it's just like I just say no, and they go, people are so kind of taken aback by just saying, oh, he's huge, the people pleaser, yeah, it's just unbelievable. But being able to, people are kind of like, oh, are so taken aback because they're so used to you saying yes.
And suddenly you say no.
And that throws them off, and then you just kind of carry on with it. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, and the more you do it, the more empowered you feel that you pick and choose what you want to do, the things that are beneficial.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes we all have to do stuff we don't particularly
Of course.
different. But in terms of like, I was always helping out on the PTA and I was helping out on the board, there was always me going up and it's got too much. I just do.
I hear you.
And then somebody said, oh, Carol, I made somebody in the sausage sizzle. And I'm like, nah. And they went, oh, and I just went, right. And I walked away. And do you know what? The sausage sizzle still went ahead. They still found somebody else to raise their $250 for the school.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yes. And I just thought too with children.
Yeah.
Children too and teenagers like, oh, please drop, or can you drop me to the party? You know, why not? And again, the boundaries of the guilt where confidently go, no, you are managing them,
Yes.
growing them into managing their boundaries.
That's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. Teenagers are interesting. Kimberly is the expert in that. I don't go near them with a 10-foot barge pole. I'm like, no. No, I brought up my teenagers. No.
You've got 65-year-old teenagers.
Oh, yeah. And that's not easy either, but I do, yeah, I get an older demographic, but mainly it's sort of between 35 and 60. Yeah, you know, 40s are the 45 is sort of the age when relationships break up and people think, oh, I've had enough. I've got so many more years ahead of me. I can't stay in this. So, yeah, that's kind of the age demographic. 10 minutes. Okay, right. I'm babbling on. Journaling. Okay, healing your emotional pain with expressive writing. Getting it out on paper. Not on the computer, on paper. Now that is actually a thing called, or it's called EET, so expressive emotions therapy. Dr. James Pennebaker is kind of the guru of that, and he's written a book, and I've got the name of the book in there. Now, journaling. I have, in my free resource library, I have a whole lot of journals. Now, you can use them with your clients. That's absolutely fine. You cannot change them. Justine, I'm pretty sure, has some that you can change and brand to be your own. Yeah, she's got some awesome stuff too. But mine you can use. You could use the ideas from them to use with your clients, whatever. I don't mind. That's what they're there for. At the moment, it's a free library. So go for it. The link is on here. If you want to actually make it your own, see Justine, and she'll sort you out with that. So journaling, just getting things down on paper. I mean, I sometimes say to clients, okay, get a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, put pros, cons. Huh? Pros and cons. I said it's simple. Make a list. Sometimes this is homework, you know. Make a list and then see how you feel about something. Some choice you've got to make or whatever. And then come back the next, look at this, look. You know, and then I saw all the cons and there are only a few pros, and so it goes on. Anyway, I want to move on to this. Get known in the world, go global. So obviously I didn't get that amount of students from not going global. So I'm not talking to you today about Udemy and becoming a teacher on there. If you want to know, you can talk to me or you can talk to Trish. She does it as well. Of the ins and outs of that. Yeah, I told her to do it. But she had courses, you see, already done, so why not? You know, if you've got a course already done, think about it. Right, Insight Timer. This is what I want to talk to you about. So, who here has the Insight Timer app? Quite a few people? Good. Awesome, hands down. 1,000 people a day download the Insight Timer app. Yeah, I only found that out the other day in a newsletter from Insight Timer. So I'm a teacher on Insight Timer. They call you a teacher if you put stuff on there, right? So meditations, talks, bedtime stories. So I have meditations on there. Most of them are hypno tracks, really, but everyone calls them meditations. So when I started on there, the meditations were free or donation. So every now and then I get $20 US put into my PayPal from Insight Timer from donations. But now they've moved forward and everything online changes all the time. We know that, eh? Yeah. So now they've moved forward and you can get paid for your meditations because they have a subscription model. And so someone buys a subscription, it's not dear, it's like $60 US for a year or something. It's the biggest meditation platform on the planet. It has 250,000 free meditations. I listen to it all the time. I've done so much healing personally from listening to some of the people on there. So if you become a teacher on there, you join world-class teachers, and I mean world-class teachers. Tara Brach, lots of other people like that. I've given you a list of my favourites. They may not be your favourites. That's okay. Right. So you can now earn money. You can teach and earn. You can also put audio courses on there. They are not video-based, like Udemy is video-based. Now, I hate making videos. Hate being the talking head and talking to a camera. So I had to do it. I put 15 courses up over COVID. I did it. I made myself do it, but I hated it. Trish knows I hate being on camera. But I'd much rather stand up in front of an audience than be on camera. So these are just audio courses. So it's just your voice. You can record it on Audacity or whatever it is you use to record on. Well, see Trish. I'm no techie, trust me. But of course, what you need to do is actually get on there, have a look at what's on there. InsightTimer.com. You can look at it on your laptop, desktop, devices. Devices, of course, it's an app. Okay, so live events. So live events is fairly recent, so you can schedule a live event on there. You have to have at least 2 free meditations that have a 4.5 or higher rating. Okay, but then you can do an event on there. Remember, you've got a global audience, millions and millions of people. Okay, this is a real new one, in-person retreats, and it's paid. Now, because they're developing these things and it changes all the time, you need to get onto the page for teachers and have a look at what the payments are, etc., yourself. Because what I tell you one week might have changed the next week because they are developing the platform. So an in-person retreat means that it's not online. Full stop. It's not online. You're holding a retreat somewhere. Let's say think, oh, we'll have a retreat in Queenstown or whatever. So you can advertise on there. They take, I think at the moment it's a 10% cut, but again, hey, that can change. And now you don't have to provide the accommodation for the retreat. So people could stay in hotels and it's just the retreat that you're running that they're actually advertising. So when you think about it, none of this costs you any money to put your stuff on this platform. It does not cost you any money. Okay, so if you have stuff already, you're ready to go. If you've got meditations, so you've made hypnosis tracks, you're ready to go. So you can teach and earn. Now, I was talking before about a widget. So I have a widget on my homepage. If you look on my website, you'll see it. That's a great thing to have. You can just direct your clients there, whatever. You can direct your clients to your meditation on Insight Timer. It's free to join. It's not costing you anything to store your meditations, your courses, your whatever. You can do talks. You know, if you've got a podcast, you could put an episode of your podcast up as long as it's within their guidelines. So always be careful, read up everything. Otherwise, I won't need to do it. Bedtime stories, who knew? It's a big thing. And we're talking about adults as well as children. In fact, if you are into hypnosis for sleep, then that's probably the most popular and the biggest reason that people go onto that platform, because they can't sleep and so they want something that's going to help them. Okay, so that in a nutshell. So I've included here a link to my guided imagery practitioner course if you want a refresher on how to write scripts. So when I use scripts, I record them. That's the reason I use scripts these days, otherwise I don't. I record them so that my clients can listen to them outside of the clinic room.
Might like to know this for future clients. My husband rang me from work and said, "Don't be late tonight, hon. I'm going to pop to Haldane and get you some earphones." And she said, "Oh, why is that? Isn't my recording at night annoying you?" And he went, "No, not really. It didn't bother me until today. I was sat in front of my computer saying, 'You are a strong, confident woman.'"
Oh, I love it, Kimberly. I love it. All righty. Okay. So yeah, that could be embarrassing at work, couldn't it? So anyway, so this is a handout. So you've got all the info on there. I'm out of time. I'm out of time. If you've got any questions, come and see me. I'm around. I'm happy to talk to anyone. Yeah. So thank you all.